Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Sonatype Nexus, and the first question what we have is like, what is Nexus? So Nexus is a repository management system. Repository management system. Now, when we talk about repository management system, we have also learned Git, right? We have also learned Git. So now that is fine. Nexus is a repository management system, but the next question is, it is a repository management system, but for what? For what? Okay. So basically, it is for binary. And when we say binaries, then basically we say packages. Okay. Let me tell you, you can store any files, any sort of packages. Okay. But it's basically for the packages, binaries and packages. Okay. So now we understood, okay, what is Nexus? Nexus is a repository management system. Why we are using? Because of for what we are using repository management system, for the packages, for the storing the packages. So for storing the packages. Now next thing is why we need it. Why we need it? Because you can say, okay, I can store the packages in the hard drives. You can say in the build server itself I can store it, or I can put it in FTP drive or shared drive, and all this stuff you can say, right? Why we need this repository management system? Okay, so there are various reasons for it, and we're going to discuss one by one all of this. So the first reason what we have is like standard way to store the artifacts. Now, if you see that in Nexus or the tools like this, they have a standard and defined way to store the artifacts, and you have to follow that process in order to continue. So now it's like this. When you store the artifacts, and when you say artifact is nothing but the packages, these packages you can store in FTP, you can store in the shared drive, but when you store in the Nexus, it's been stored in the defined manner. Defined manner. So now this defined manner coming from where? So Maven defined manner, Maven way. You can store for the npm way. Okay, you can store for the py Python way. You can store for the Docker image way. So each of these technology where we generate the package, okay, Nexus supports in a certain ways to support, so they can store the packages in easiest way. Okay, so Nexus defines the standard way to store the packages. Next reason why we are using Nexus is like security. Okay, security is very much important. Package security, when we say talk about it. So here, if you look at this shared drive, or let's talk about FTP or any other places where you store, the security of the package is not adequate because it's not being secured. You don't know whether who's modifying the packages, how the package is being modified, and many more things. Actually, you have no control over that, right? But here, when you store the packages in the Nexus, you have a control over the package security also. That means you can see that who's modifying the packages, who's not modifying the packages, and who's having access, who's not having access, who's having what sort of access, and that way you can secure the package. And nowadays the source code security is not only the concern for the organization, but also the package security. Okay, so security is one important aspect, and Nexus gives you this features, so you can secure the package. Okay, now next topic, next point what we have is like package integrity. Okay, package integrity. So package integrity is very important again. Okay, what is the package integrity? So it's like this: when you store the packages in FTP or shared drive, you are not having any sort of mechanism in order to find out whether the package, the integrity, that in a simple way, if I put it, package quality is appropriate or not. Sometimes it might get copied or less size file, and maybe some of the bytes got missed, maybe, and still is so successful, and many things can happen. The quality of the package is very important. Why it is important? Let's discuss on this. So it's like this: when you have the bad packages, which is not up to the mark, when you use that packages to deploy to n number of environment for the testing, and that same bad packages can be used everywhere. Okay, everywhere, and you deploy the bad packages, and at the end of it you come to know, okay, uh, um, the end of the deployment, you come to know that the package is corrupted. So why it's happening? Because there is no mechanism in which you can verify whether the package quality has been compromised or not, package integrity is maintained or not. So who's going to do that for us? So basically here in Nexus we have a mechanism in which we do the package integrity also. So that way MD5 and sort of things you might have heard about, there many algorithms also check some, so using that you can verify the package integrity also. So now we discuss about, okay, why we are using Nexus. So we discuss like it is a standard way to store the artifact. Okay, it has a security inbuilt. It has a package. It maintains the package integrity also. Now, what are the other reasons? So another reasons what we can put it here is like a backup and restore. Restore. So when you want to take the backup of your packages, and if something goes wrong, and then you want to restore the packages, then if you do store in the FTP or let's say share drive, it will be very challenging, right? It will be very challenging taking the backup. You have to write a lot of scripts probably, and you have to identify which you want to take a backup, and all so much of the homework you do, and ultimately you lose the time. You can do that very well, no problem about that, but the important thing, like, you lose the time. And in the DevOps concept, we do not have a time. Time is the everything right now. So here Nexus give you the flexibility, so you can take the backup and restore process very efficiently, okay, without doing much of the things. Okay, next one is a cleanup. Easy cleanup management. Easy cleanup. Now, when you talk about the cleanup, that means, let me give you the perspective. Let's say you've been storing the artifact in FTP drive or shared drive from last 2 to 3 years. Now, suddenly your management has come to you, or maybe IT team has come to you and say that we have a disk space issue, and now you have to clean up all these packages which is not in huge and not released version, and also more than 1 year. Now you probably spend, because you do the auditing properly, now you have to spend time, identifying those packages, which you want to delete it, which one you are not going to delete it, and so many things you do that, right? So many things and preparations basically, and then after that you are going to do the cleanup, and you also make sure that the package is not being deleted, the important package is not being deleted, otherwise it will be a problem. So there's so many things you do that, and ultimately what you do, probably you end up completing this task in 2 to 3 days, and that's a too much, actually too much of time. So here this Nexus will give you the ability to clean up as automated way, scheduled way, manual way, and in a one click action. So everything can be one click. It's a process defined in the Nexus, so you can do the claim. So these are some of the reasons, like security, integrity, backup and restore, easy cleanup, standard way to store the artifacts, and many more, which helps you to maintain your packages. Okay, which helps you to maintain the packages. So these are the more important reasons, but again, there's so many other reasons what we have, and we will get through later point of the time. Okay, so now we have understood what is Nexus. We have understood for what. We have understood why we needed Nexus. So other tools. So what are the other tools we have it in that? So if you are not using Nexus, what and you use it. So if you're not using Nexus, then probably you are using Archive, which is from Apache, which is completely open source and free. Okay, and if you go for proprietary one, then there's a one more very good product from the JFrog, and that is called Artifactory. Artifactory. Now, if you are not using both of these, and your project is in the is on what is it, .NET stack, then you can also use NeoGet. Okay. So these are the solutions you have available. If you're not using the Nexus, then you may go ahead and use Archive, Artifactory, NeoGet, things like that. Okay. So now we have discussed, okay, what is Nexus, for what, why, and then what are the tools. Now next thing is how to install a Nexus. Okay. So let me tell you, Nexus is a Java based tool. Okay. It's a Java based tool. Okay, Nexus is a Java based tool, and so of course you have to, in order to install the Nexus, you have to install Java. So you have to have a JRE or JDK, anything, JDK or JRE, anything should be installed in your machine. That's the one thing. And after that, you can install traditional way of, like, download the packages, extract it, and copy it to desired location, and start it. Simple, very simple steps. Okay, start it. So now these are the typical way to start install the Nexus. But again, you have a, if you know the Docker, if you have attended the class of the Docker, there's a 1 second installation is also possible, and that is through Docker. So you can also do that, but I will follow the traditional way because that is expected. Okay, so now we have understood, and this is Java. So now I need a machine where I can show you the demo. So as usual, let's go for AWS. Sign in. And one more thing, if you are looking for installation instruction, then of course everything you will find in the DevOpsSchool.com only. Let me look at the resources for you. Go to the tutorials, look at the Nexus, and there should be some, yeah, here. This is a Docker way, and this is the installation Sonatype community version. Okay, so these instructions are already available with you. You can go ahead and try. So now I'm going to install the Java. So before that, let me grab machines, sign in. So I've logged into AWS. Now I'm going to create one instance just for the demo. So launch instance. Red Hat, I do all this demo in the Red Hat Linux. 4 GB RAM, 2 CPU is sufficient. In fact, 2 GB RAM is sufficient for us. But let's go with the 4 GB RAM so there will not be any performance issues while demo. Okay. Okay, so I got this machine. Okay, I'm just logging through the party. Put it here, and I have a keys for this because AWS is EC2 instance support keys. Here it is. Let me make this view better. EC2-user. I got it. Let me become a root. Okay, and now I'm a root. So now everything is cool. So as per the discussions, what we are doing, I'm going to install the Nexus, Java. So Java installations I have to because of 64-bit, and I need a Java which is what do you say, uh, Java 1.8. So usually I do everything in the CD OP directory. I'm going to download the Java. So let's grab it and here this is the command to download Java. Clear the screen. Duplicate is not there, no problem. I'm going to install duplicate. Yes. Okay, so I installed the duplicate. Now I'm going to download the Java. And you see that this says having 404 error. Why is that so? Probably the URL for this path has been changed. So what are you going to do about it? So we are going to get the new URL for it. Okay, so they keep changing the URL all the time. So I'll have to check which is the latest URL. So I should go to, okay, Google is better. Java 1.8. So remember, I need a 64-bit, right? 64-bit. So you can look at this here. You have a JDK 8, and this is the kit. This is the demo and samples. So I need a kit actually. This is the kit. So I need for the 64-bit Linux. So if you see that this will be this one which is 162 MB, which will work. In fact, I can use it this one also. Both of these will work, no problem in it. Okay, so either one of you or one of the things which you want to install, copy the URL, put it here. Not coming. You have to accept the license. Now copy the URL. Here it is, and copy this one. So whichever you like it, you just do that. Here, if you directly duplicate this URL, you'll not be able to download. Why? Because that required the certificate check and all kind of things. So this command has to be working. So now, if you install through RPM, you can just paste the URL here, write URL, and your command is ready. So clean the URL, and now see it's getting downloaded. So I'm downloading the RPM now. But if you want to install download through tarball, which is the first one, just replace this inside. So you have to be mindful about this. Okay, so this is what it is. So now it's getting downloaded. Meanwhile, what I can do, because you should not get lost, so let me change this page also. Okay, I don't know, password is not working suddenly everywhere. Should be okay. Okay, I'll change this one, no problem. So here it is. Okay, so now you got the RPMs. Okay, now what you're going to do, so you're going to install through RPM or what? You're going to install through tarball. So let's download this one. If you install through the tarball, that is also fine. If you install through the RPM, that is also fine, because you need a Java runtime environment, you don't need a JDK. So anything will work fine first. Okay, so but if you're installing through the tarball, remember you have to do certain things like export. This is the Linux actually. Export Java home, okay, is equal to whatever the path is, and then export path is equal to $path, this one, and then $java home class bin. So these are the things you have to do that, and probably I think you know that by now how to set it up, because this is Java related things. If you want to compile any Java program, you have to do that in Linux as well as in Windows. So this is the thing. So now I believe we are good with it. Now let me install the through RPM. So if you want to install through RPM, what do you do? RPM hyphen IVH hyphen install v for verbose mode, H for the file name, and now I am almost installing the Java. Done. Now let's verify Java hyphen version. You can see that Java version 1.8 has been installed, and it's for successful. Cool, right? So Java got installed, but if you want to install through tarball, what do you have to do? Let me put it the command here only. The command is what is the file name? So if the file name is here, then tar hyphen z xbf. This will be the extraction, and after that, remember you have to always do not in your user drive. You have to do somewhere in your OPT or something like that, which I do normally, and then you get the directory and you set this. After that, you set this environment variable, and you're good to go. So okay, so now we got it. So now what we are going to do? So now first thing we did it, Java installation is done. Now next thing is Nexus thing. So we have to download the Nexus. So let me tell you before downloading the Nexus. Okay, there's a two kind of version. So Nexus version, let me put it here. Nexus version. So there's a two kind of version we have in Nexus. So what is that? So there's one community edition. Okay, community edition, and another one we have is a professional pro. Okay, so this community edition can be used by the open source organization or educational purposes and training purposes and all kind of things, and professionals can be used for the what to say that organization, enterprises and all, who wants to pay. So for this is a free. Okay, this is a free, but it has a few conditions for that, and this is for the commercial. This is a paid. Okay, so basically all the organization you'll get this one. The community editions you'll be using for this for the training. Okay, so let's check it out. Let's go ahead and download this Nexus. So Sonatype Nexus download, and here if you see that OSS is the community edition. Okay, see. So now if you see that here, what you have, OSS 3, Nexus Repository Manager OSS 3x. If you look at this, the OSS 2x is also there. So I think some of you might be using in your organization this version. Okay, if you have not upgraded from last let's say 9-8 months or something like that, and Nexus 2.x supports these other default build tool, so yum, p2, obr, maven, and all. But here, if you look at this, Nexus 3 supports many more. Not only Maven, but it supports the Docker also. It supports the Python packages also, Ruby gems also, and NuGet also. So all these things they supported. Now, if you look at this, choose your Nexus. So where you want to install it? So you have to install in the Mac, then you should use this one. If you're going to install in Windows, then you should go for this one. I'm going to install in the Linux, then I should go for this one. Let me tell you, it's a Java application. This, even in fact, this will work most of the places actually, but here if you go for this one, Windows, you'll get the exe sort of thing. So that's up to you whether you want to exes, or here you'll get the DMG file or something like that. So let's click on the Unix version. Okay, now if you see that your download should begin immediately, and it's downloading, right? And this is what actually I was looking for. So actually I'm not downloading in Windows, I was just looking for the link, because here you get the link, and this link I was looking for. Okay, so now I got the link. This is the link. Now I'm going to cancel this download because I don't want to download this. Okay, I got this link. Okay, so now I get the right link. Okay, so now here, so I am going to download this one, and I believe, let me check whether we got the right download or not. Checking the site, and I believe it's not. Okay, so it fooled me. So I have to click one more time here to get the link. Okay, now the link should be this one. This is the right link. Okay, so you have to be mindful of it. So I'm just going to cancel this. Now I'm going to download this using the wget. You download in Linux using curl also. I'm using wget because it's become handy for me now. So now it's downloading, and this is the real download. So if you look at this, the package size, excuse me, du-sh is 106 MB. So that is cool. This is the package which I was talking about. So I will do one thing. I will remove this bad package, okay, because unnecessarily it's come. Now what you have to do, same way, tar-z xbf. Got it, right? Now if you look at this here, you got the two directory. One is your Nexus, and here is Sonatype. Sonatype Pork is the default location where the repository will be stored. So whenever you store any packages, then it will go inside this directory actually. Okay, so you have to look at this. Okay, so the repository details. So we'll check it out. We'll come back later point of the time. But here, important directory is this one. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to rename it because I don't like the long name actually. This is the, remember, Nexus 3.6, which is the most recent one. So the UI and all, it will be little bit different of what you're using in your organization, but this is how it is. So now we downloaded the Nexus. We understood that what are the Nexus versions which we have it. Okay. Now I'm going to start it. So starting is like very fun. Just go Nexus, go to bin. Okay, and there's a script that is called Nexus. Okay, and then put it like this and enter, and you see it says uses guide. So now these are the commands which is available. In fact, this are giving you warning also. You should not use as a root, and in fact you should not install any application as a root, but rather than go for the sudo user or something. But here just for the demo we are doing it. So these are the commands you have. So you have to pass Nexus, start, stop, run, redirect status, restart, force reload. So I am going to use Nexus start. and now it says starting. So now if you see that whether the start has been done or not, we just have grep access. You can see that it's been started, the process ID, right? So now Nexus has been started. So by default, which port it's a, let me tell you, it is a web-based application. Web-based application. Okay, it is a web-based application. So when it's Java based and web-based, then it has to map with the port number, right? A port number. So default port from where we want to get it. So default port and default property file. Property file. So now if you want to know that default port and default property file, let's look at this. So you should go back, okay, and there's a file under the APSC, and there's a file which is called Nexus default. Okay, this one. Nexus default dot property. This is the default properties here. So if you look at this here, this will tell you which is the default port, and right now it's running on the Jetty. Okay, and you can run the Tomcat also if you like it. All the stuff is there. So 8081 port is the default port. Okay, so you got to know through the properties file. So now we got to know properties file. So we got the IP address, which is this one. Port number is 8081, which is this one. And now you got this Nexus running. And it says Nexus repository manager. Here it is. Okay, so now this is the software. You have got it installed, downloaded, set up, everything. So now we have to learn how to use it. So any questions so far from anyone? Any questions so far? Guys, are you there? Are you able to hear me? Hello? Hello? Oh, cool. No one is able to hear me.
Yeah, yes, we are here, Rajesh.
Okay. I got wonder, like we have 9 people and none of you are responding. I think everyone is sleeping over. Okay, fine. So now we got it, we installed and download, setup and all things like that. So let's understand. So if you're using Nexus 2.x, there's a, let me tell you one thing. Nexus is a repository manager. Manager. Nexus, just read it this. Nexus repository manager. Now, it's a manager of what? Repository. Right? It's a repository manager. So when you talk about the repository, next thing what you have in the repository. So repository, in the repository manager, you have so many repository, and in the repository you have a packages defined in stored in certain way. Stored in certain way. Now this is what. So now you might have concluded. If you want to store the packages, you have to create a repository. Repository has to be created in the Nexus repository manager. And this is what we are learning here. Now, so first thing, type of repository, right? What is the type of repository you want to? So type of the repository. So if you refer Nexus 2, there were 4 types of repository. Okay, 4 types of repository. But here we have only 3 types in the Nexus 3. Okay, and what are those? So basically we have one repository which is called hosted, another repository which is called proxy, another repository which is called group. So now you must be wondering, okay, fine. Uh, these are the 3 kind of repository, but what is the function of these repository? What are the definition of this repository, and what is the use of this repository? So basically it's like this, very simple. Okay, if you want to store your own package, store your own packages, then you have to use hosted repository. Very simple. Okay, that means in a simple way, you want to store your own packages, then you have to use the hosted type of the repository. So you must be wondering what, okay, so do you mean like we are not storing the packages in proxy and group? Actually, we are storing the packages in the proxy as well, but here you are not having your own packages. So proxy, what exactly it is, let me tell you. So I'll go for the announcement and let's understand it. So here, this is the Windia, and we have one Nexus server in USA. Okay, this is India, this is US. Now we have more than, if I'm not wrong, 40,000 kilometer or 30,000 kilometer, whatever it is. I don't know actually, to be honest. I just guessed it, right? So now we have huge difference, huge distance actually. So now we have a developer here also, and they are, you know, creating a packages, and then build servers we have here, and they're putting in the Nexus server, Nexus. And we have a developers in US also, and they're putting in their own Nexus server. Why we are having two Nexus server? Because if the build server upload from the India, if the build servers upload the packages to the US Nexus server, it's going to take time. Again, if it's downloading from the Nexus, is going to take time. And the thing which we are struggling with it, I'm sure you must have gone through the DevOps video, which I have asked and requested everyone to go through that. It's a compulsion video. So the in DevOps concept, we don't have a time. Okay, so the time is everything, so you cannot increase. So let's say if you downloading is taking 40 minutes, uploading is taking 40 minutes, 80 minutes we have wasted in one go, just for the because of the uh, latency, huge distance and all. Now what can you do about it? How can you solve this problem? So you can solve this problem like this way. So here you have Nexus in India, so Indian people will use the Nexus here, and USA people will use the Nexus this server. But Indian people also do need the USA packages. USA team also need Indian packages. So what you can do that? So here you are going to create one proxy. This is the proxy, and this is the proxy. NP. Okay, NP. Okay, so this is the main hosted repository where Indian people store the packages. This is another hosted repository here where US people store the packages. But we got one more repository created, proxy. So now what happens? Any packages got generated here, that goes ultimately, that goes to here automatically based on the demands. First thing. Now this is a cache copy. Cache. Any packages which you upload here, that goes to this one. Okay, so that way you are uploading to the latency is very reduced, and here if you need and to consume the USA packages, you can get it. So here you are uploading, here you are downloading. So now you can save the latency, you can save the download and upload time using that. So this is called proxy. Any questions on this? Did you understand this? Mhm. Did you understand this? Guys, are you not responding? Why? Seriously, weekend is like everyone's sleeping, I guess. Okay. So So we have a type of repositories we understood: hosted, proxy, and now next one is a group. So what is a group? So group is like this. Okay. Um, One more example I would like to give for the proxy is like this. Sometimes what happens, organization will not allow many repositories should be accessible to the developers. So they will block the access because of security and number of reasons. So what you can do if, developers need those external repository and organization is not allowed. So what you guys can do that you can they will allow only one box. So you can set the proxy here, one more proxy, and they can use it. So instead of developers going to the and creating a huge broad what to say uh, uh, broad band uses or whatever it is, uh, bandwidth uses, then instead of going just one time transaction in a consumer, people can go and grab the packages from the local. So that is also possible. Now group. So if you, let's say if a group is something like a way in which you can put the hosted plus proxy, multiple hosted and multiple proxy. Why you have to keep it multiple hosted and multiple proxy? Why? Because it's like this: if you have a 20 repository, and so you have to put it 20 times in your script file in order to download and upload and stuff like that, and that's not a good practice, right? So in order to avoid all that stuff, you are going to uh, use the group. So this is the three kind of repository we have it. So now I'm going to do what? I'm going to create a repository. So first, and remember, in the last discussion, if you know that Maven. So Maven was the one of the repository management system. So we had a three kind of repository. Remember, Maven I discussed about the local repository, central repository, and private repository. And Nexus is a private repository. So now in the Maven here, because I'm going to use Maven for the upload and download, because that is needed, but you can do using any other way. You can use the Python, you can use Ruby, you can use any other ways also. So if I'm using Maven for the download and upload, so what is the release type we have in the Maven? So Maven has a two kind of release. Remember, release and snapshot. Remember, correct? So this is the two kind of release we have. So now we understood these are the three kind of repository. These are the three kind of release, two kind of release in Maven. So now I'm going to create a repository. So first you have to log in. So sign in, and default password, user ID, and password is ADMIN. I guess I'm just trying, but no. Then ADMIN123. Yeah. So the user ID is ADMIN123. So this is the default user ID. Now I have to create the repository, right? So remember, this is the view. Cube, the icon which you can see on my cursor, is a view of the repository, and this is the administration setting button. Okay, here you can see the repository, uh, security, support, and system. So system and support is not at all, it's been widely used, yes, but if you are an access administrator, you have to use it, but we will more focus on the security and repository. Okay, so let's talk about the repository. So here if you see that, click on the repository. Now you have to create a repository. So how can you create a repository? So I have to find out, click on the repository, click on the repository here, and now you can see that we have around 7 repository created already, and you can see this Maven Central, which is a type of proxy. So when you say proxy, now you can understand what is a proxy, right? You can understand. Another one is a Maven public, which is a group. Another one is a hosted. So now you can understand what is a proxy, what is a hosted, what is a group. But the format is important. Here, if you look at the some of the repository which is default Maven 2, and some of them are like NuGet. Okay, so you can store the NuGet packages also here. You can store the Maven packages also. But we are going to use the Maven for this. Now here, if you see the status, all are online. So if you have a way to offline also. If you see that you have analyze button where you can analyze the health of the repository, and then copy URL to copy the browser based thing. So here none of the packages has been uploaded, so you won't get anything actually. Okay, let's see, it's nothing. See, no components from this repository. So now this is the repository. So now I'm going to create a repository. So let's create a repository, and we have to select the which type you want. If you look at this recipes here, it's supposed bor, which I don't know. Docker, I have told you, Docker is one of the wonderful thing, and git lifts, okay, maven 2, npm, NuGet, Python, raw, and RubyGem. So these are the kind of packages which supports. But in fact, you can manually also upload a hell lot of packages actually. So that's the thing. So I'm going to use the Maven. Remember, I'm going to create the 3 repository. One is hosted. In fact, 4 repository, I guess. So one is hosted. Let's put it weekend release, weekend snapshot. This will be 2 hosted snapshot, and weekend proxy. This is the proxy repository. So this will be hosted, this is the proxy, and then we have to create one group also. We have to create a group. Wonderful. So now you got the weekend release, weekend snapshot, 4 repository you have to create. So let's get it started. So I click on the Maven 2 hosted, remember here, and now the name is weekend release. Now here you have to select the release type, release, because you're going to take release and snapshot. These are 2 kind of Maven release. So uncheck everything, let it be, and create repository. Done. I created one repository which you can see at the bottom of the screen. Okay. So now here, Maven weekend release. Okay. Now I'm going to create one more repository, weekend snapshot. So create a repository, Maven 2 hosted snapshot, and here you have to change this snapshot. In fact, you have a mixed also which support the release and snapshot both. But as of now, I am trying only individual, so you can learn better. Now we did it. Now we can proxy. So I'm going to create a proxy. Remember, for the proxy you need a third party repository also, one more repository. So I'm going to use the central repository, and we have already here. If you see the Maven central, and what is the location of this Maven central? This one, right? So I'm using this one as a central repository. So now I'm going to create a repository proxy. So create repository Maven proxy, Maven 2 proxy. I'll give it name. Now it's required what is your another remote URL. So remote URL is this one, remote repository. Okay. If you have a certificate sort of things, you can do that, but it's not needed for time being actually. And authentication, HTTP request, all this stuff you can do that. But this is a public repository, so no authentication required. So now I created, remember, I created release, I created snapshot, I created proxy. The last one which I have to create is a group. So I have to put it all this repository in one place. So that I'm going to create a group. So create a repository, Maven 2 group, name it, and now it's asking me which are the repository you want to select. So of course I am going to use my own, so which I created weekend. Very simple, drag drop, not much of the things, and then create. Cool. So now you can see that. Just give me 2 seconds. Okay, so now you can see that we have created repository. So now what we have to do? See, everything we have done, a prerequisite we have done. So now we have to do upload, download, and upload. But the thing is, one thing which we are missing: the permission, security. So we have not done. So if you look at this work is done repository. Now go to the security part. Now if you look at this, you can have the SSL certificate sort of things. You can enable the real M like LDAP and all. So LDAP is like if your organization supports LDAP, you can create a connections. You can ask the information from the IT team, all this thing, name, LDAP server address, search base, authentication method, this, that, and all. And you can set it up. In fact, you can verify option connection, which is disabled right now because options are not there. So you can set it all this thing. But the one which is I am talking about right now is users, roles, and privileges. Let's talk about it. So first thing which I'm going to talk about, privileges, right? And I cannot copy. Okay. So privileges, right? So when you talk about the security in Nexus, as I said, it's very clear, right? Here, security is very much important. Now you know who's going to upload, who's going to download all the stuff. So security. So first thing nowadays is become a trend in the all the tools. They set it up like this. In the privileges, they set all sort of access. Now after that, you have what? You have a roles, right? Security roles. So what they do they put it some of the access, put it in the roles, some of the privileges. They take it and put it in the role. So that way, see, you have all sort of access defined in this. Okay, all sort of access like read, create, delete, rename, upload, download, everything. You have all minor access here, and you select based on requirement and create a role, and then you assign this role to the user. Assign a role into it. So now into this. So now what happens? Whatever the access which you have gotten in the roles, if you assign to the users, these users also got the same privileges, whatever it has in the role. So this is the way to manage the authentication. And nowadays it's become a trend to get this kind of stuff in all the tools actually. Okay. So now if you look at this here you have privileges. You can see that all permission, read, delete, create, read, update, a lot of permissions. You can see that. No, you can just scroll down and you find more than 300-400 of the permission. In fact, you can create a privileges as well. Depends on your need, depends on your requirement and all. Whereas NX all means all permissions. Okay, and here you see this permission column. Here you have a repository also, right? So if you have created next weekend, see weekend, the moment you create a repository, the permission has been created or privileges has been created automatically. See this? All privileges, browse, delete, edit, read, all browse, kind of things. So sort of privileges. Now, if you look at this, you have a roles here. So what is this? Danger, unquote, I don't know what is this. Okay, so now you have a role. So here you have a two roles inbuilt, which is administrator role and anonymous role. Let's create one more role. So create a role, and this time I'm putting the weekend, and role name is weekend also. Now what privileges you want to assign to this guy? So for time being, I'll go for the NX all. All NX all means everything, but this is the place where we have to do. If you want to give the restricted permission, limited permissions, you have to be selecting the one which you actually want to give it to the user. Okay, so now I selected NX all, which has everything. Okay, and you can select the sub role also, but it's not needed right now. So I created a role which is a weekend. Now I'm going to create a user here, and here creating the user Rajesh, first name K Rajesh at the rate of, we put it the valid email address. It's not compulsory, but it's you see password Rajesh 123 confirm password 3 status active. And now what rule I wanted to, so I have created rule weekend. So I want, remember weekend has all access, that means I'll get the all access and create user. Done. So this is also done. Okay, this is also done. Now security privilege you understood, rules understand, user understood. So now everything is good, everything is done. There's no things, there's nothing pending. So now only the things which you have to do: download and upload. That's all. You have to do download and upload. Okay. So now, any questions so far before showing you the download and upload? Any questions?
No questions.
Okay. So now, what are you going to do? I told you right last time in Maven, we are going to download through Maven. So upload through Maven. Upload using Maven. Okay. So in order to upload using Maven, okay, and all this instruction, whatever I'm saying, it's there in the portal actually, SCM Galaxy portal. So if you see that here, look at this. Okay, so you have to study all that. So now upload using Maven. So now if you want to upload using Maven, uh, here you have to do few things. First is you have to modify the pom.xml with repository. Second thing, you have to modify setting.xml with access. And the third one which we have, command go ambient deploy. Right? Only three things you have to do that. Okay. So now let's do that. So let me locate my packages which I covered in the last training. It was weekend one. No, not this one. Weekend. Yeah. So this is the package which I'm going to use. Right. So I'll go to the command line. cd. Here it is. So you have a pom.xml source file, all the blah blah things, same thing, nothing great. So as per the discussion, I'm going to upload, modify the pom.xml. So let's do the pom.xml modification. And before that, let me show you these instructions where you have it. Here, see how to upload artifact into Sonatype Nexus using Maven. So you can upload through GUI also, which was deprecated in version 2, okay, version 3, and you can upload through the pom.xml, which I'm doing. I am showing you right now. You can do the command line also using curl and da. All these things you can try and then do that. So let me do it through the Maven way. So pom.xml with rep. So where is my pom.xml? So pom.xml is hidden here. So open up now. So I think I don't have to explain it to you because in the last session already I did in detail. The important thing which you have to do is this: distribution management. This is the element which is responsible for pushing the package. Distribution. You have to do that. So in the distribution management, which is the repository you have. So if you see that this is a repository, that means it's a release kind of repository. And when you see snapshot repository, here is a snapshot repository. Maven has a two kind of release, that's release and snapshot. So now you have to give the repository name of weekend release and weekend snapshot here. This will go with the release. This will go to the snapshot. So let's grab the URL for it. So go to the repository, click on the repository, and where's my weekend release? Here it is. Copy and then where's my snapshot? Copy. Done. Simple. I just modify distribution management element of Maven and you're done. But now one more important thing you have to do that, which is modifying the setting.xml with access, right? So let's go and find out where the setting.xml. So let me tell you, setting.xml is always find the place where you install the Maven. So you know that I install Maven always in the C tools or OPT directory. So I go to the C tools, Maven, under the conf directory. Do you find one setting.xml here? Okay, you can find this setting.xml. It's the older one I'm using for different scenarios. So now let's open up this setting.xml. Just give me 2 seconds. So second point is a setting.xml with access information. So this is my setting.xml of the Maven, and I have to locate the one of the element which is called servers. Okay, so inside the servers, okay, I am going to remember there's so many things which is commented, so you have to be mindful about it, and that's the reason I use the notepad plus plus, because this will tell you which is commented, which is not commented. Now if you look at this here you have a server, and here I did probably you can have it in number of entries, that's not a problem, but I could have modified this one also, but I just added new one. So now I am going to add what is the username, my username which I created. The new username is I create Rajesh, and the password is Rajesh123, right? So I am going to use Rajesh here in the username and Rajesh123 in this place. Okay, now the problem here what we have, so I modified, simple thing, you modify server component, username Rajesh123, everything is good, cool. But the thing is, here we have two username and password. One is admin121 and 123 and Rajesh, which my pom.xml, if I type the maven deploy, which one it will take? That's the problem. XML will get confused. So in order to avoid this, you have to make this ID and this ID unique. If I keep these two IDs same, then it will might take this one, because this is the first defined. Okay, so I'm going to change this one temp1. Okay, now this ID and this ID should be same. Remember, there's the two places weekend and here this ID. So that way Maven knows, okay, you have a repository and repository access has been given here. Okay, and how is been given? Because ID is matching. So that's the intelligence what Maven has it. So now you did everything. So now remember here ID of pom and setting.xml should be same. Okay, that is the one thing, and you did everything. Now everything done, pom.xml is changed, setting.xml is changed, ID is same. Now you are going to run mbn deploy. Now compilation happening, and now I think I don't have to explain it, because in the Maven class I have already explained in detail what is happening. Compilation plugin 3.8 test compile, test is happening. And almost test completed, and now it's packaging happening. See, jar, building jar, taking more time actually, but usually it will not take more time. And now look at this deployment happening, and now is uploaded to this address and uploading to this address. See, what is this weekend snapshot? Why it's uploading to you weekend snapshot repository? Because of pom.xml. If you look at this, this is a snapshot. So it's intelligent, which is inbuilt with Maven and Nexus. If you're uploading the pom.xml snapshot, it will go to the snapshot repository. Why? That's the reason you have specified snapshot repository. And if you look at this, it's going and uploading to the snapshot repository. Now look at this here. An upload happened in the snapshot repository, and now if you go back and click here, browse asset, What was this? We can snapshot. Look at this. One package has been done. Components you will see in a defined way. This is the one. See, now this is the jar which I was talking about. Here you have it. This is the snapshot jar. So what will happen if you redeploy one more time? So snapshot, remember snapshot is a not stable code. You can deploy anytime, any number of times. So timestamp will get changed. So see, uploading happened correctly. Everything is good. Now you see, I just refresh the page and you got this one more here. So timestamp is changing. Just look at the version. Timestamp is changing. But if you look at in the sets, you will see that everything. Okay. So this is the way, right? So now you saw that. Now let me change the pom.xml and make it released version. Look at this. I just remove the hyphen snapshot and Maven deploy one more time. See, uploaded to this time release version. So actually Nexus is very intelligent. They understand your pom.xml. See, so we can release. Maven is also very intelligent in that case. So now it has been a deploy to the release one, and look at this. Here it is. Okay, components, go to the components, release, and look at this. But what about if you deploy one more time? Look at. Let me do that. See, it got failed. Why the snapshot was allowed deployment twice, but the release was not allowed the deployment twice? Because release can happen only once. It cannot happen twice. But there's one more thing. So if you want to allow release to be uploaded same version means this is the version multiple times, what you have to do, go to the repository, go to the login to this repository. So edmin 123 and setting repository, and here repository, and here this layout policy, instead of the script permissive, you have to make it the permission. That way it will allow, but it's not a good practice now. Okay, so this is the reason. Now you saw that how to upload the artifacts using Maven. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Guys, any questions so far? Vivek, Bani, Tushar, no one is there today. Okay, cool. So now next thing is how to download them using Maven. So if you want to download using Maven, then you have to do one thing. Remember, those who are have practiced the Maven, if you want to download any repository, any dependencies, then you put it dependencies. Remember, JUnit is being downloaded by the repository which is called central repository. So that is possible. So how can you do that download? So right now if you look at this, download was happening from the central repository, okay, and upload is happening to the private repository which is Nexus. But I want upload and download should happen from the central private repository which is Nexus. Not so. What are you going to do? So in the setting.xml you have to change the mirror. So in order to download using Maven, you need to update mirror element in setting.xml. Okay, so now if you look at this file here, this is the entry. So I'm going to copy this You will find that entry many places in the Google, on my portal, many places, and just have to change it. So remember here, I don't have to see, this is the use of the group. So now if you remember, I had created one snapshot, one release, and one proxy. So instead of putting this three times, you can put the group one, and that's a fun actually. So what you're going to do, you are going to get the group which is here and copy the URL, and now change this URL to the group. So instead of putting everything, so many repository, you can put the only one repository. It's a group, and that will have everything. Now star means everything. Okay. And one more thing you have to do, modify here, activate profile. Okay. Always active profile. So some profile you have to activate. So let's get the error and then we'll solve the problem. Okay. Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me, guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I just updated the group. Instead of, you can define n number of repo, you can define here only once, which is a group. And now you update this one. And now what I will do, because in my local repository, everything is already there. So if I run it, even though it will not download it, but right now, manually, I'm going to delete something. So I go to my local repository, which is M2, and I go to the repository and I go to the JUnit. I'm going to delete JUnit. Okay. Remember why I deleted JUnit? Because you have a pom.xml which is dependency on the JUnit. So now it will try to look for JUnit from the local repository. Private repository. So clear the screen. Maven deploy. Look at this. Is downloading from where? It is downloading not from the central repository, but from your local repository, private repository. So how come it's downloading from? So remember, because of the cache, I created a cache proxy. Okay, the proxy is here. Weekend proxy. Proxy is matched to the which repository? Central repository. Where is that? Here it is. So now Maven Nexus is downloading on behalf of you and then putting everything and then is being done. So that's a fun actually. So now if you look at this, downloading a lot of things and all kind of things is being done. So that's the one thing you can do that. So in order to upload, you have to modify pom.xml, setting.xml. You need to make sure the ID are same, and finally run the command. And in order to download from the Nexus any packages, you have to keep it this one. Now what are you going to do? So if you want to download any packages, so just go to this place, view part, asset, and snapshot. If you want to download this jar, so components, if you want to download summary components, and just this is the information I was looking for. There's one more things I'm looking for, which is not I'm able to find. No problem. So let's create one more dependencies. And this time, what is my artifact ID? My Maven. What is my version? And what is the group ID? That's all. Now, com.scmgalaxy.maven So go to your repository. Com. Where is the com? What is this? SM Galaxy and Maven sample. I just delete this. Okay. And now I am just making the dependency new dependency, and this I will change it to 1 and this one. So this will become a new product, and this new product is dependent on this library. So now again I am doing, yes, I just cancel it, clear the screen, mbn compile. Says downloading 2.0 and build successful. So if you see that, okay, says the form JUnit jar 2.0 is missing, no dependency information available. So this version should not be missing actually. Oh, I just see, I did not modify properly. My bad. It should be my Maven here. Okay, and the version is done. Scope I'll just remove it. Okay, and so clear the screen, ambient compile. Now if you see that it's downloading, see, it's downloading here. And now if you go to the repository, see, it's downloaded my Maven. Yes. Cool. So now it is like this. So if you want to modify, if you want to upload, you have to do this one. If you want to download, then you have to do this one. And this is how Maven, Nexus works. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Guys, are you there? Hello? Hello? Guys, can you hear me? Nope. Okay, fine. So now what I'm going to do, so now you understand this Nexus is not a very big deal. You understand this repository, we understand the security. If you're administrator, then you have to try it out, support also. It's not a functionality, it's just some metrics, some dashboards, something like that. Here you have a system, so you can upload some of the plugins also if you wanted. So all these things is there. So now let's go and spend some time on the server where we have installed. So now if you look at this sudo -s, clear the screen. Here now remember I created many repository. So now let's look at this, what exactly those files are has been done. See Nexus 3. Inside the Nexus 3 you have a backup, cache, elasticsearch, generated bundles, instances, and db, blobs, here, health checks. So all these things are there, etc. So these are the file system you have to take a backup, actually instances. So here we instance property. So all these things is a part of this. So now if you want to do some admin operations, so you have to log in, get into that repository. You can do analyze also. So let me analyze the release, which is not available as of now, because it says repository health check cannot be performed on this repository because it is an unsupported type of or out of service. So basically this as of now this health of this repository is not done properly. So that's the reason, but you can find the proxy have a analyze health check and all kind of things. You can do some of the more things like let me show you. You can try doing something. Where is that option? Rebuild index. So if you want to, your cache has been expired, or you want to do some cleanup and all stuff like that, you can do that, rebuild index. Now I'm going to talk about some of the admin features. So let me talk about the admin feature. Let's say if you want to clean up automatically every time, so what are you going to do about it? So for the cleanup, if you go to this under the support, and do you see somewhere tasks? Yeah, the last one. Create a task. These are the tasks you can do that. So if you see that compact blob store, that means it will compact, it will create a zip file. If you want to execute some script on ad hoc basis, you can set it up here. You can export some configuration. You can do something like a cleanup. So cleanup means purging. You see this: purge incomplete Docker upload, purge orphaned API keys, purge unused components and asset. So basically you can schedule all these things. You can say, okay, this is the name, this is the email address you want to send it to, and what repository you want to do. So Maven central or weekend NuGet proxy, what exactly you want to do. All these things you can set it up hourly, manually, weekly. So if you look at this, you can set it up actually. So in the task, you can do all these sort of things. In the nodes, there's nothing much of it. Email servers, you can set up the SMTP information. So Nexus can send an email also. HTTP related things, you can set it up here. If you have some problem in Nexus and you want to send the log information to the support guys, then you have to click support zip, check all these boxes, create a support zip, and you have to send it to them. They will read this information and they will give you the troubleshooting skills. Now, if you want to look at the memory utilizations, like see memory uses, memory distributions, thread stats, and all this stuff, you can showcase. If you want to see the logs, these are the logs. But here also, if you go to the server, you can see the logs inside this directory, which is Nexus. Under the there's a okay, there's a log actually has been created under here only. Nexus, say that logs. So you can look at this cache. You can delete if you feel like it's not required, and all. See, there's so many cache has been created. All this stuff. So all these things you can do that. Okay, so now some of the reference materials which I want you to refer it while studying it: DevOpsSchool.com, tutorials, Nexus, and then you have all this PDF file, web reference, some of the sample program, some of the videos, library, HTML slides. Now, question time. So you tell me the questions, I'll answer these questions. Any questions so far? Okay, guys. So I think there's no questions. So I'm going to wrap up this session. Practice it. Come back to tomorrow morning session and come back with the questions, whatever you have, and then we'll take this thing forward.